podcast, but they're going to come with this week in white supremacy. Because it's a lot happening in the world. We want to inform you all. My name is Jasiri X. I'm co-founder and CEO of One Hood Media. We want to inform folks while we can. Because
while we still have free speech before we get taken off the air,
because the rapture didn't come get us.
Oh,
I missed it. So what happened?
You missed it. No, you think you would miss the rapture? you thought they was grabbing you up.
You thought the pearly gates were going to open for you. You thought you were going to put on a robe.
The upper room when Jesus.
Well, I thought the rapture is like when we record on Tuesdays. Today is the rapture, right? So are we waiting?
Are we waiting for the rapture, or was it supposed to come last night? The only rapture I know is Blondie.
I don't know, because when I was in the church, the good book said no one knows the time or the hour.
Right.
So
But doesn't the Antichrist have to be identified for the rapture?
Supposedly, Israel slaughtered some red cows, red heifers, and that was one of the signs of
the rapture.
So I guess there's rapture TikTok. Oh, I didn't know this.
Rapture talk,
right?
Wow.
And basically they were saying today, to 23rd. Could possibly the rapture. I mean, people were talking about this one lady was oh, remember to unlock your phone or put your password there so people can go into your phone after you go. People had they was laying outfits out the first day of school.
So in the rapture, everybody just disappears.
Yeah, you
right?
just disappear.
Mm-hmm.
Is this kind of like the Mayan calendar?
Also,
or remember the HBO show Left Behind? Remember that?
Vaguely.
You ever see that?
Mm-hmm. We should probably introduce ourselves.
I introduced myself, but the main
no one
star,
cares who
the
you
star
are.
of the show.
Yeah.
Okay, the person they all want to meet, sitting across from me.
The glamorous.
Yes.
The magnificent.
Got caught in the rain, so the blowout is gone.
The mercurial.
The mercurial, yeah.
Yeah,
mercurial miracle.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's AKA Big Blessing with the Big Blessings. I'm here.
Yeah.
As a heathen. Harambe, if you will.
Harambe.
I did not
Harambe.
And speaking of heathens,
not get raptured.
he put the he in heathens.
Oh my days, that's amazing.
That's a bar.
That's
the he in
heathen is crazy. The man who can make red flags look like Six Flags. It is me. It is I.
Yes.
The halal heartthrob.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's interesting that we all have on black.
Like my soul.
Well, to me, it was like the funeral. We are here to have a funeral for free speech. Right?
Because we're not having... Let me stop.
Because free speech is over. Mm-hmm. Ironically, the person who's killing free speach,
Jesus Christ,
is the person who claimed to be the free speech
advocate
president.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're on January 20th.
I think this is a good time for this.
Fuck Donald Trump. Yeah, fuck Donald Trump.
Play it while you can.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck Donald Trump.
Yeah, absolutely.
Donald Trump.
That's about
Copyrights
to be-
and royalties be damned.
But right, I'm saying, and they're probably going to take this again. The way he's moving, that song probably is going to be eliminated off of any
Streaming
platform,
platforms, yeah,
right?
yeah.
On January 20th, 2025, Trump said, "I will sign an executive order to immediately stop all government censorship and bring back free speech." But last week,
he imposed government censorship.
Yes.
And restricted free speech.
Yes.
Now, let me ask you a question.
yes.
Isn't there a word for something like that? Like hypocrisy?
Somebody said it's almost like he was completely full of shit or something. But again, it's like,
Fuck Donald Trump.
because remember when it was like the right was all like, oh, they're trying to destroy comedy. We can't even joke anymore. Because,
Yeah.
they want to joke about trans people and they want to joke about queer people.
Well, the internet had jokes for about a whole week.
Of course.
And none
yes,
of them, you didn't
yes.
find any of those funny. But I did.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So now when you're the butt of the joke, right? Now and again, like Jimmy Kimmel, and we're talking about Jimmy Kimmel, who was basically the FCC threatened ABC and Disney over comments that Jimmy Kimmel made after Charlie Kirk's assassination, right? One, I will say a quick correction point. We referenced a video last episode about Charlie Kirk where we said Charlie Kirk said a Asian slur. That was incorrect. Like Charlie Kirk was, I guess, talking to a man named Sink. Like that was his name. Like, he's one of the Young Turks. So
okay.
That was something that, again, we saw it in a different way. We got the information.
Yeah.
That wasn't that. So we'll correct that. Like that's not beneath us. We'll correct that.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Right. That's wow.
But Jimmy Kimmel was not even commenting on anything related to Charlie Kirk's assassination. What Jimmy Kimmel was commenting on was Donald Trump's reaction. Mm-hmm. And the fact that when they said to Donald Trump, like, how do you feel in this moment?
We're about to build a new ballroom.
Yeah. where you lost such a close friend. He was like, you know what? Actually, man, over here, we're going to have the gold and over here. And this is going to be the greatest ballroom. And it was like, he showed no emotion.
But why would you expect him to?
Well, again, like, that's a great question because there's a whole nother conversation to me about how journalists are treating him like he's a normal president. And they're treating this moment like it's a normal president where somebody asked him a question where he's on the plane taking questions. And he was like, oh, who are you with? Oh, you with NPR? Oh, y'all about to be out of there soon. Like, and they were saying how like none of the other journalists weren't standing up and saying, wait, hold on. Like that, again, that's censorship, right? You know what I'm saying? So he's like, Trump's response, he's like, oh, you have a network and all the evening shows, all they do is attack Donald Trump. So if all they do is attack Donald Trump, that's not allowed. But why not? So I do think there's this whole different conversation about how Donald Trump, how the media is treating him like he's just an average president when clearly he is not.
Right.
And not only was it Donald Trump, but it was the head of the FCC who basically came at Disney and Hulu, and it was at that point that they took Jimmy Kimmel Show off the air, and the media response, I think it was like 400 celebrities signed a letter, including like folks like Tom Hanks supporting Jimmy Kimmel. So many people canceled Disney and that Disney Plus, that they broke the cancel button. And they lost, I think they said in one day, over $400 billion. You had that response. So today, Jimmy Kimmel is back. But I think the backlash was still on. You even had people like Ted Cruz saying that this was like a mafia style play, right?
Yeah.
You tell your man head of the FCC, hey, yo, go get these dudes. And then now this person is pulled off the air. Miracle?
I told y'all Trump be running stuff like the mafia. 100%. Like he is Scarface. Like,
yes.
Without the the piles of the things.
Yes.
Free speech is gone.
The book of sugar.
Hey.
Well, I mean, that's another question. Is Trump on something? We don't know, but
he's on. He's
not a good advertisement for whatever he is. But I do think
too much Tylenol, maybe.
I do think Trump is not being covered correctly because people like the chaos.
Yeah,
I think what we have learned is that like Americans in particular like to see the violence, they want the end of the world to happen, right? They're just waiting. We have to be very honest, to be very frank.
Yeah.
We really have nothing to live for. Like just debts, just war, just violence. So
global warming.
It's
no high speed rail at any time.
I know. It's just like a
groceries are unaffordable.
True.
But that's what we're just waiting for. So that's why the news is not accurately covering.
The rapture didn't even come get us. It skipped us.
Because you saw, even when he was hosting all of those tech billionaires, they could have all came together and pushed back against Trump.
100%.
They could have used all their tools and resources to just run negative ads about Trump and Republicans, and they choose not to.
But Miracle, if they did that, we're just waiting for the announcement that another group of tech bros that support Trump are supposedly going to take over TikTok, going to control the algorithm. So now TikTok, how it looks now, is not going to be how it would look because all of these people are Trump's friends. And if his tax cuts benefit the only benefit, according to what they're saying, is the wealthiest 1%. They get to keep more money. He's knocking back all these regulations for them. They don't have to deal with black people. They don't have to deal with women. They don't have to deal with queer and trans people. I mean, he's giving them what they want, which is why they were in that. And if you watch that roundtable, they were like on this man's genitalia.
So hard.
So crazy.
I didn't even want to watch this shit.
Yeah.
But that
was like porn. It was like.
But that is
Jesus
also
Christ.
my point, and I've even said this about like the Charlie Kirk tweets or the Free Palestine tweets. Is people really used these moments to whiten their bases and to whiten their workspaces because they never really wanted to deal with us in the first place.
Correct.
And they also wanted to make sure we didn't have the infrastructure to build up our own. Right. And so then once they got us connected to these career paths or these jobs, they're like, oh, take it away. So now you could just be gone. You just go somewhere away from me. Like, right. And I think that for a lot of folks, they really thought that folks were going to come and save them.
Yes.
And they really thought that these allies were going to show up. But at the end of the day, these allies didn't want y'all.
True. I mean, again, it was like seeing in real time that all this is performative. But I think you did bring up a good point that I want to ask you about before I come to you, for Miracle, that you mentioned Palestine, right? And in the wake of Jimmy Kimmel being silenced, it was this conversation about how, particularly like post October 7th, so many people who had either referenced Palestine or said that what was happening in Gaza was a genocide, how we saw those people like lose jobs, we saw them lose opportunities, we saw like them get exiled, and it wasn't that big of an uproar.
Correct.
In that moment, and we didn't see a lot of like people rallying around and supporting these folks. You know, we have, you know, somebody made the correlation between the 300,000 black women that are now out of the job market to like Jimmy Kimmel. We didn't see a lot of outrage or rallying around that. But when this celebrity white man got silenced, it was like all this thing almost, it was like, oh, this is getting too close to us. Like now we can get silenced. So as somebody who has been outspoken, particularly over the last 2 years around the issue of Palestine, to the point where you're on one of these lists.
I'm on the mission. I'm on the mission.
And again, that list exists to silence people, to quiet people, you know, just like, you know, the list Charlie Kirk had of all of these professors. You know, he put this list together of professors to quiet them or to silence them or to punish them. Like, how do you feel personally in this moment watching Jimmy Kimmel get all this support and then his job gets returned?
I mean, whiteness is going, like, what did D-Ray you say, like, watch whiteness work? Like, that is the thing.
100%.
I'll be, like, very frank. Had I not been a victim of sexual violence when I was younger, I would not have known how to navigate being canceled, like, as an adult for organizing, right?
Wow.
Because a part of it is a power dynamic. It is this idea that, like, I'm going to be able to control you, and if I can't control you, I'm going to make you so afraid that you're not going to be able to move the way you want to move, right? And so that was what a lot of the Palestine canceling was. But I always remind people that in Pittsburgh, the first person that was canceled was a regular, just a Muslim art exhibit. It had nothing to do with Palestine.
Absolutely. Yes.
It was just like a regular art exhibit about just like Muslim ceramics, right?
Yes.
They're very, very benign. And that is what we're dealing with. We are still here in Pittsburgh. We've had like 3 or 4 art shows be canceled just because of the artists. And it has nothing to even do with like Palestine, the conversation. And so when you look at Jimmy Kimmel, you saw all these people like canceling all these things, and it was like, well, people asked y'all to do that for the genocide. People asked y'all to do that for Tigray and the Congo and Sudan beforehand. Like, people had been asking folks to just like cancel things and like show your economic boycott, and because you want to vote and send a message with your dollars, like, you can't. But you could do it for Jimmy Kimmel, because to you, Jimmy Kimmel is someone you relate to. You don't relate to caring for black and brown people abroad because you don't care for black and brown people at home.
Absolutely.
And so you can't sit there and be like, I'm not going to buy Dubai chocolates, or I'm not going to buy Starbucks, or I'm not going to watch some crappy AI created TV show just for a week, right? And let's be honest, you know, people do not like to be inconvenienced. And I think when you look at Italy, you think at France, they like to F things up.
They definitely do.
You know, you tell them they have to work an extra day. Everything's being shut down here in America.
I mean, we just saw, I think it was Nepal, right? Where they just rolled in. And
Nepal got busy. France was getting busy. Yeah.
Like, you know, Kenya, Nigeria, you've seen a lot of people just do these massive uprisings and change things for the better. And so for Jimmy Kimmel, it was like, one, the joke he said wasn't really, you know, offensive. I think once people realized what he had said, they're like, oh, this is, but then it's like, you know how sometimes you show your hand too early? And I think that Trump showed his hand too early, and had the FCC director actually shut the fuck up, again, I don't think he would have had his job back. Since it's to make you say certain things, it was like, oh, we can't do that. So now we got to go back. But again, Sinclair, I believe, said they're not even going to show Jimmy Kimmel when he comes on tonight. So even though he's coming back,
who's Sinclair?
Sinclair is one of the.
It's a station. They have a series of like local stations, and so the whole thing was like, oh, we're not going to play Jimmy Kimmel. We're going to actually play Charlie Kirk's memorial.
Okay.
And then, but they didn't play that. You know what I'm saying? Right. And there's this whole other conversation because Sinclair is trying to merge with Nexstar. So like the way the FCC laws work, these corporations can only have a limited number of local stations.
Right.
And so these two big owners of local stations coming together would in effect create a monopoly. And the FCC is there to actually prevent that. Right. However, the FCC is saying they're considering changing that rule.
Of course.
And so that was one of the reasons people said was why when the FCC chairman said what he said, that these stations came together and said, we're taking Jimmy Kimmel off the air.
So and they've also been threatening to take The View off the air as well. And like, people were like, not The View. And The View.
Say, white women love The View.
Yeah, and The View did actually change some of the way they were talking, some of the topics, and then recently decided, I think as of yesterday, to push back. So it is one of those things of like, people's jobs are being threatened, but your jobs have been threatened after October 7th, when people said don't have Palestinians on, you wouldn't have caved then, right? If you still would have had conversations, if you still would have had dialogue, you wouldn't have given people this past pattern or practice of silencing. So like, you silenced people, you took Palestinians off the air. Remember MSNBC took the 2 Muslim anchors off the air, right? So all this stuff that we saw, we got normalized to censorship. And once you're normalized to something, it's very hard to then move back the other way to like, let's have a bastion of free speech. And the last thing I want to say is like, I feel like in America, free speech has turned into this idea of like, let me say the most vile things, or then I can't have anything to say at all.
Right.
And free speech is actually just having conversations, actually disagreeing with your government, actually trying to talk and have dialogue and engage without having to face severe consequences from your government. And we have moved to the point where like, I should be able to sit down and have a conversation on air about, is it a war? Is it a genocide? Is it defense? Is it self-determination, without having to be put on a list and be called a terrorist.
Right.
But
particularly when you had these like right-wing comedians saying some of the most vile, racist that you have, you know, Nick Fuentes and all of these folks, you know what I'm saying, saying just the most vile things. And they're, you know, Nick Fuentes met with Donald Trump, you know what I'm saying, famously, right? Also, it said, I just want to say this thing, Brendan Carr, who's the current chair of the FCC, who made those statements to ABC about like, kind of like, what are y'all doing? It says he rose to prominent because he wrote a chapter in Project 2025 where he railed against technology and media companies' censorship of right-wing content and values. So again, this is somebody, remember the whole thing was, remember when Trump did the thing at Madison Square Garden and the guy said all of those things about Puerto Rico and Puerto Ricans, and it was like he's one of these like right-wing shock comedians, you know, Joe Rogan and all these people. So it was like, they're all like, oh, we're the free speech bros. And it's like, oh, we don't want to censor them. But like you said, if you come and say, look, well, let's have a conversation about what actually is happening in Gaza. It's like, oh, you got to be quiet. Or if kids wanted to say, hey, we don't like what's going on over there, we want to have a nonviolent protest on our college campuses, all of a sudden they're being arrested, they're being expelled, they're being blackballed, they're being blacklisted. Yeah.
It's wild. And it's like, even if you want to talk about like transness and what is transness or gender identity or even disability, those conversations are seen as like too political and frowned upon. But if you want to have a conversation of black people should have rights or women should be able to vote, you can have those conversations. And I think that is the weird situation that we find ourselves in, because we keep allowing these right-wing conservatives to say whatever they want. And then as Democrats, here's my favorite topic.
Yes.
As Democrats, we don't fight for things. And I know this is not where we're going, but like even the Kamala Harris was talking about like, oh, you know, I didn't throw these people under the bus, but I had my own reservations. You had your own reservations because you didn't allow people to be in the room to have conversations with you. Mm-hmm. Right? And then you threw people away. You threw queer people away. You threw gay people away. Because why in 2025 would you sit there and say, I would not allow this man to be my running mate because he was gay? What?
Right.
Yeah.
What? Like, man, where are you? Why didn't you sit there and say, and then I realized we had failed as a Democratic Party. There's no like introspection there. That is just like, you know.
And it wasn't a thing of like, again, if you had concerns, like when Donald Trump, and this is Kamala Harris, and of course, it's like when Donald Trump, and Kamala Harris is putting a book out. It's about her time and she was running. When he was saying you're for they, them, why didn't you say anything in that moment? Yeah. So I think for a lot of us, it's like, oh, now you're speaking. Like you were running for president. You had an opportunity to really stand up for communities, the ones that you come from, right? Communities and people and the most marginalized. You had an opportunity to stand up for these folks and you didn't. Now, although to shoot Kamala some bail, there's been a lot of clips there's been a lot of things she said in those debates and on the thing that has come true. There was a clip that kind of went viral where she said Donald Trump is going to use the American military on citizens. And she was right on that. I want to bring you into this conversation, Farouk.
Oh, do you know?
As somebody who is, you know, you're very outspoken.
Who, me?
And someone to argue your outspokenness can be harsh at times, can be like biting, that you have biting commentary. You know what I'm saying? Pause.
That was crazy.
As somebody who is an art.
I'm sorry.
Always.
I'm sorry.
Always.
I'm so sorry.
Oh my God. That's the other podcast, Miracle.
We gotta tee it up. We gotta tee
Woo!
it up.
Oh my God.
Nothing will make me go home faster.
Yes. So again, you're an artist.
Yeah.
You're somebody that has put out music and commentary. You're Muslim. You're black. You're Muslim. You hold all these identities, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. When you see somebody like Jimmy Kimmel, this again, and people put it in this framing, this wealthy, rich, this wealthy white man. How do you see it?
You know, I did take holiday to celebrate myself last week, so I missed a lot of these things. So I was playing catch up when I got back in the States. Of course, I had seen what was you lot posted in the group chats and everything.
Yeah.
But I for the most part, stayed off socials and everything while I was abroad. I guess the point I want to enter the conversation is are we calling democracy a verb or a noun?
That's a great question.
Because the further we move away from this societally, not just as Americans, not just as Westerners, but the further we move away from this and we engage in this totalitarianism, this authoritarianism, you are now looking at something that is what Donald Trump and every president before him said that they were distancing themselves from.
Right.
Which is this idea of communism or Marxism, however it's propagated to the Westerners, right?
Yes.
State-sponsored media. And it's funny because I made a joke that I was actually going to North Korea for my birthday. And people were actually like, how are you getting into the country? Like, how are you doing all the X, Y, and Z? You know, are you going to be able to post from social media and all these other things? And it's funny because Trump just had this thing to say about China and Russia and North Korea meeting together to quote unquote conspire against America, and all you're doing is replicating the things that you're accusing them of doing to their people.
Yeah.
Censorship and eliminating of rights and ostracizing of people and validating ethnic cleansing on some scale. All of these things that are happening right now are now American talking points.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All of there's a bullet point of things.
Soldiers on the streets, right?
Soldiers on the streets, right?
Yeah.
You're saying we're not North Korea. We're not, we're not Russia. We're not, all of these countries that you deem to be evil.
Right.
You look exactly like now.
Right.
And so I have to ask, is democracy a verb or a noun? And do we have to reclassify what the American political system is that people operate in as something different?
There was just this memorial
Right.
for Charlie Kirk. It was in Arizona. 90,000 people showed up.
Is that where he's from?
I don't know.
Where he lived.
Yeah, I don't know
okay.
where he was from. But in that memorial, it was a lot of talk, and it's fascinating, right? Because a study came out that said, or a story came out that said that the FBI or the people investigating Charlie Kirk's assassination cannot tie Tyler Robinson to any left-wing groups.
Of course not.
Right? Like
Of
they were trying to tie. So the idea that like the left or Democrats like killed Tyler Robinson.
It's a reach. It is such.
It's not only a reach. It's like, I mean, we sat here and watched Donald Trump. I mean, Donald Trump had said something about Liz Cheney where he was like, they need to take her. Like again, like we watched him make mad, violent imagery, call his opponents fascists. There's a clip that we'll play when we get into that. But, Stephen Miller spoke at the memorial, and they were saying that he took parts of a speech that Joseph Goebbels did.
Yeah, Joseph Goebbels, yeah.
Joseph Goebbels when, under Hitler in 1932. So it's like when you see this projection of, where he's talking about a storm is coming, and, he was saying in the speech, like, our ancestors built this, right? Which
is factually incorrect.
What do they build? They don't build anything. They don't have anything. Like, we're righteousness, they're wickedness, they're hate, they're evil. So it's like, if we're in this era of don't paint your opponents in this particular way because it could lead to violence, and you get up there in front of 90,000 people and you're saying, oh, they're evil, they're wicked, they're like, you're basically painting all of them in a particular way.
Yeah.
Isn't this what you just told us not to do? Like, what are we doing?
It's a contest to see who can outdo each other with hypocrisy. It has to be. Like, that's the only logical way to explain it. And
Yeah.
I think it's frightening, the fact that a lot of this rhetoric and a lot of this propaganda that is now mainstream media.
Yes.
People just act like they did not pay attention for school. Like, we talk about this all the time, how
Yes.
all this is recycled Nazi rhetoric, or like,
Yeah.
it was Hitler and then Reagan and then Trump.
Absolutely. And remember, Trump was talking about like the blood needs to be pure. And all of these things. And people were saying, this is directly from like the Nazi playbook.
Yeah, it is. And here we have a clip right here.
Yes, this is, and this clip we're going to play. This is Mike Johnson, who is the Speaker of the House currently, talking about what Republicans and Democrats shouldn't say about their opponents, mixed with Donald Trump saying all of it and then some.
Leaders cannot call their political opponents Nazis and fascists and enemies of the state because they disagree with their policy priorities. I mean, this is something we should have learned in grade school.
We have the enemy outside, which would be the very standard countries. and we have the enemy from within. We have some very sick people from within. It is the enemy from within, and they're very dangerous. They're Marxists and communists and fascists. But, you know, we do have an enemy from within. We have some very bad people, and those people are also very dangerous. They would like to take down our country. They'd like to have our country be a nice communist country or a fascist in any way they can. And we have to be careful of that. It's the enemy from within, all the scum that we have to deal with that hate our country. That's a bigger enemy than China and Russia. But the enemy from within is a very sick group of people.
This type of language spurs on depraved people, deranged people who take that as a cue.
So just real fast,
Yes.
I do want to ask,
Yes.
and this is a question in response to Donald Trump quote.
Yes.
We have an enemy within that's different from the enemy external, that
Yes.
is the standard countries.
Correct.
But if you say that it's not China and it's not Russia, then who are the standard countries that are enemies of America?
No, he was saying
I know what he's saying.
enemy from within.
Is not, yeah, right. But he said we're not worried about.
Right, because he's saying the enemy within. He's saying what the Democrats or the progressives or folks like us are actually more dangerous,
Right.
than China and Russia. So he's actually saying like, oh, and if you believe that, what do? You send troops to cities
Yeah.
where you believe the enemy of within is, right? You send federal troops all over the place, right? Trump, said in the memorial for Charlie Kirk, I hate my opponents.
Yeah.
I don't want the best for my opponents. I hate my opponents. And so again, like this is somebody who not only is saying that, he's also going and saying like, to bash me on a late night talk show, that's illegal.
Yeah.
You should not be allowed to do that. You should not be allowed to, again, it's like, wait a second. So we're in a society now where we have to say only glowing things about you.
That sounds like North Korea.
Right. And if we don't say glowing things about you, we're going to be taken off of the air. And we're in a society where like, now we're the enemy. We're a worse enemy than China or Russia. So then you declare war. Remember, that was the whole thing after Charlie Kirk's death. These people was like, we need a civil war. You got MAGA folks making lynching songs. Like they were talking about we need to revert to bullets. And so again, if you're going to war on your enemy, why else would you bring troops into American cities? It's you think they're your enemy and they need to be silenced or they need to be arrested or they need to be prosecuted. You just had an article come out, and I'm going to come to you, Miracle, where basically Trump had, I guess he put it on Truth Social, and then he took it away, where he was going to Pam Bondi and basically said, yo, I want you to charge his political foes. He put this on social media. Like it's almost like he forgot, like he had her he had her text message or whatever. He's like, yo, let me just add her on Truth Social. And basically it said it directed to Pam. Trump complained that his Department of Justice had not yet prosecuted former FBI Director James Comey, Senator Adam Schiff, or New York Attorney General Letitia James. His demand to prosecute James came less than 24 hours after Trump forced out the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia for failing to charge James, who oversaw New York's civil fraud case against the president's business empire. They're all guilty as hell, Trump claimed, but nothing is going to be done. So again, here we have him saying, these are my political opponents, arrest them, put them in jail, find dirt on them.
It's so ridiculous because now I got to be out here trying to learn different plants and trying how to like scavenge water in case like the world, like I'm just tired and I'm exhausted. Like I am not a soldier in the liberation movement. Okay. And so I just don't like it. Number one. Number two, I saw something that said every time America does something that's messed up, the question is like, what are we, a bunch of Muslims or a bunch of Asians? Like to sit there and be like, to compare it to all of these places.
This isn't us. Like,
and it's
yes,
like,
it is.
This is us.
Yes.
Like, this is a solely American thing happening on American soil.
Absolutely.
And we don't have to default to like racist stereotypes to sit there and push back Right.
Right. Because again, I think that's what like this is something that will happen in communist China. No,
it's happening right here.
But also, America has a long history of censoring voices it didn't agree with, going back to what was the name of the dude in the 50s or 60s that was like, oh, this person's a communist and this person's a communist, and was trying to take everybody down. So America has a long history of silencing voices that it does not like. You know what I'm saying?
And I just want to say this because we're talking about cancel culture. When we were talking about cancel culture, we were literally telling people that they couldn't go to work and self-pleasure themselves in front of their coworkers. We weren't saying you couldn't go out and sell out arenas. We were saying there were certain standards that you should have when you go to work.
I forgot
Your
that dude
employees
did that.
are not a casting couch.
Yes.
Like when people go to work, they're going to work, not to
Absolutely.
be ran through. That is the difference between
Yes.
cancel culture and then just like saying, oh, this person said something that I don't like.
Right.
Let's be very honest. And on top of that, I've always said, when it came to Harvey Weinstein, his NDAs were up to be renewed. And the company just basically was like, we don't want to pay $80 billion more to cover the fact that you want to be a sex pest.
Right.
We just going to let this stuff come out, and then we're going to rebrand.
Move on from me.
So
yeah.
when you saw where it was Matt Lauer and other people, he literally had like a kidnapping room so he could sexually assault people.
Yeah.
So this idea that like
He had the button.
He had the button to lock the door. Man, the Batman shit.
you know, so this idea that like cancel culture was just out of nowhere, it was no, y'all were doing stuff that was weird and you shouldn't have been doing it.
But the thing is, Miracle, those people that were doing stuff that were weird, now they're running the country.
Yeah.
Like Trump was one of them. This was Trump's quote when he Truth Social Pam Bondi. We can't delay any longer. It's killing our reputation and credibility. They impeached me twice and indicted me 5 times over nothing. Justice must be served now. So again, here is somebody.
Because you committed crimes that other people didn't.
Because you committed crimes. And because you encouraged people to riot and almost tear down the White House, because you did that, climbing up things and with
Shitting
zip
on the
ties,
wall.
and yes, all of that, right? And you were impeached twice. So it's, again, it's like now that person, that sex abuser, you know what I'm saying? He's in charge, and what did he do? He brought a whole bunch of other sex abusers with him. And now they're running the show, and now they're saying, yo, if you say this or do this, we're going to shut you down. We're going to prosecute you. You know, remember, they come out and say Antifa is a terrorist organization, knowing full well that Antifa is not an organization. There's not an organization called Antifa. There's not a group of people that's like, oh, the Antifa headquarters is in, you know, like Roanoke, Virginia. That doesn't exist. But what they can do is say, oh, you know what? This organization is Antifa, and this organization is Antifa, and this organization is Antifa, and then they could prosecute you, they could take away your supporter funding, they could put you in prison until all these things. And what was so funny is because they're going to come get us and take our guns and take us away. This was a right-wing conspiracy theorist. Now it's happening right in front of your eyes, but because the enemy is the left, you're going to allow this to happen until it's you. Until you say something out of line. And guess what? We still ain't seen no Epstein files.
That part.
We still are waiting for all the files to come out. That's still being blocked. You know what I'm saying? If we want to honor Charlie Kirk, that's what we do. He wanted to see the Epstein files too. If that's what we're doing, right? And so, again, it allows Trump cover for all of this. But guess what? We're going to ask again. Where the files at? Why is Ghislaine Maxwell at this, they call it Camp Cupcake? How did she get there? This was one of the things they asked Kash Patel. He was like, the Bureau of Prisons. It was like, but why would the Bureau of Prisons make this decision? Who did they talk to? Did they make it unilaterally? Something he did not answer. And so all of these things, I don't know if it's going to come to one big head or it's going to come to one big thing that is going to, like, is it all going to come to one big incident and just bust out over all of us? I mean, is that what's...
Pause. That was crazy.
That was good.
I'm sorry. I'm handling a very disrespectful email right now. I'm trying to be professional.
Got you.
I'm trying not to do my third one.
Oh, yes. Don't.
I'm
please
trying
don't.
to behave.
Please
Like, you
don't.
make it
Please don't.
make it
Please don't.
difficult.
Again, you say one of the things that came out of the Charlie Kirk memorial was like, oh, Elon Musk and Donald Trump back together. And so people was like, yeah, Elon, I mean, why let a little thing like child rape get in the way of a relationship, because it was Elon that said Trump was in the Epstein files. Elon said that.
They all know that.
So why let a thing like child sex trafficking get in the way of your relationship with Donald Trump? Then it comes out today, the New York Times article saying that Elon Musk's dad has been accused of child sexual abuse, and that this was something that Elon Musk was aware of. So obviously that's not a bridge too far for Elon Musk.
And it's like, you're okay with your father being a sex pest, but not your daughter being trans. Like, can you make it make sense? And this is the idea, like, we keep talking about.
I didn't think about
the
like
things that people put up with just because they don't want to admit that queer people exist and that gay people exist is insane to me, because you should be fighting for people to be, okay, be who you are consensually with other adults. You know, make sure you behave, make sure you're kind, make sure you're decent. And instead, you just want to be out here committing crimes and harming people for no reason. And it does not make any sense to me. Yeah. But, like, I did not watch the memorial. But I just want to say, if I am grieving, do not have fireworks.
Oh, they have fireworks.
And pyrotechnics.
That's crazy that they did that.
You know,
I didn't watch the funeral either, but
at my going away. And the thing that we don't talk about, we keep saying that racism is this old thing, is that so much of that sexual violence is being used to attract men to this far right movement.
True.
Because this loneliness epidemic has made men so angry, so mean, that they do not have partners, that they do not have people they can talk to, that they're not able to have conversations. And so now you're luring them there by this idea that you should be able to dominate women and dominate feminists. And I think that's something that's very scary. And I think the the Democratic Party has alternatives and needs to engage. And I love that it's like Mamdani had like all of these men like working for him, and they're like having fun and they're building friendships and relationships, and then it like shows that you can be a kind person and be successful. The same thing with the Justins, Justin P. Pearson, all these folks. I just feel like the Democratic Party has a alternative pathway to offer folks.
Yes.
But because they don't want to fight for queer people and trans people and Palestinian people and disabled people, that's why we are losing.
Yes.
We are losing not because we picked social issues, not because we had a big tent. We are losing because people in our party decided at some point they were tired of fighting for the people who deserve support and basically just cast us all aside. And if we're really going to fight fascism and this incoming wave of violence, we're going to have to go back to being the party that cares about people, workers, and people, because we understand that everybody deserves dignity and
well, I'm glad
freedom.
you brought up the Democratic Party, because Jasmine Crockett was on CNN and talked about, one of the things that came out of the assassination of Charlie Kirk was this Charlie Kirk resolution. This resolution to like honor him. I think they passed it to where like it's a Charlie Kirk day. Yeah. It was like this again, like you're going to try to force us to celebrate this man regardless of how he behaved towards us, right? And Oklahoma, the governor of Oklahoma was saying every school had to have like a Charlie Kirk memorial or a statue, which is insane. Because again, like it's like if we said every school had to have a Martin Luther King statue, I mean, it's ridiculous. But again, either here nor there, but Jasmine Crockett pointed out that only 2 of the 58 Democrats voted no. I think only 2 of the white Democrats voted no on the Charlie Kirk resolution. Can you play that clip, Farouk?
It hurts my heart is when I saw the no votes, there were only 2 Caucasians. For the most part, the only people that voted no were people of color, because the rhetoric that Charlie Kirk continuously put out there was rhetoric that specifically targeted people of color. And so it is unfortunate that even our colleagues could not see how harmful his rhetoric was specifically to us. And I can tell you that a month prior to him passing away, he had actually gotten out on his podcast. I wasn't aware of this at the time, but he got out there and he was talking negatively about me directly. So if there was any way that I was going to honor somebody who decided that they were just going to negatively talk about me and proclaim that I was somehow involved in the great white replacement, yeah, I'm not honoring that kind of stuff, especially as a civil rights attorney, and understanding how I got to Congress, knowing that there were people that died, people that were willing to die, that worked to make sure that voices like mine could exist in this place. So to me, just like we wanted to make sure that those Confederate relics were taken down, the idea of a new age relic being propped up was something that I just could not subscribe to. And it is unfortunate that more of my colleagues, even on my side of the aisle, could not see the amount of harm that this man was attempting to inflict upon our communities.
So now was the time.
It's these moments, right? It's when, you know, you had post 9/11, right? When Barbara Lee, who was the congresswoman for Oklahoma, was the only one who said, no, we shouldn't do this, and had to have police escorts and kind of stood up. It's like these moments where it's like, okay, now we're going to see who's really with us or not. And again, all these Democrats knowing, like, it's not like they don't have the internet. You have the internet. You see the clips. You see what he said specifically about all these different communities, all these marginalized communities and people, but still voting to honor Charlie Kirk with a resolution, including Hakeem Jeffries. When we talk about like the leader of the Democratic Party, and then Hakeem Jeffries turns around and say, oh, we voted yes, but we wanted to specifically say we're against the rhetoric. Well, if you're against his rhetoric,
then vote against it, nigga.
Why would you vote yes on the resolution choosing to honor him?
Bitch ass nigga.
You know, AIPAC Shakur has not been making the best of his time in Congress right now. But what I find interesting, and I'm going to say this hypothetically, if Farrakhan at Savior's Day was unalived,
yes,
would we have had these resolutions?
Absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not.
Right? If any black person,
I mean,
Tariq Nasheed was on his brother, Dr. Umar.
If I could just pause, when it comes to Minister Farrakhan, right? I believe he's still banned from Facebook,
YouTube, or not YouTube.
No, but he's still banned from Facebook.
Yeah.
So again, if we're talking about free speech and wanting and desiring free speech,
that's a great point.
His speech was deemed hateful, and he was taken off that platform. So again, like, are we bringing everybody back? But continue, right? If it was like Dr. Umar, they're not going to have they're not going to have a Dr. Umar day. You know what I'm saying?
So this idea that you treat free speech the same is not true.
Absolutely not.
And so, what I will say, what do you stand for? I don't need to know what you stand against. I need to know what do you stand for.
Say that one more time.
I don't know what you're standing against. I didn't know what you're standing for. What are you fighting for? Who are you fighting for? Whose lives matter to you? And for some reason, the Democratic Party under Schumer and Jeffries cannot articulate what they are fighting for and who they are fighting for.
Correct.
And that is the problem, because this was a moment every single Democrat should have been told to vote present. If you don't want to sit there and say you don't want to be divisive, just vote present.
Right.
It passes. Republicans have enough people. Vote present.
Right.
You don't have to vote for hate. You don't have to vote. And for me, I realized a few years ago, debates are not these intellectual jousting competitions. These debates that Ben Shapiro and Charlie Kirk created were these opportunities to disrespect people to their faces.
Yes. Absolutely.
Because you would have no other time to talk to the people you despise but for these debates. And I realized that when people were coming, and we had a conversation at one of the universities I was attending, and they were talking about affirmative action. And you can debate the logistics of affirmative action, but the guy was sitting there saying black people are immoral. Black people should not be in these. And it was like, where else would I have heard that conversation but for this debate? You would not have been able to say this to me but for this debate. You're
Right.
not trying to have an intellectual conversation.
Absolutely not.
You're trying to use academia to do harm.
Yes.
And that's when I was like, let me not. I don't do these debates. I don't do this,
Right, right.
this, one or person against 20 Zion. It's like, that doesn't make sense, right?
Absolutely.
And so that is what people do not understand and realize. This is not a dialogue. This is an opportunity to disrespect people to their face and then be like, why are you being emotional?
100%.
Why are you getting upset?
Right.
Are you not smart enough to have a conversation?
Under the guise of like, these are facts when they're not, when they're clearly disproven.
You just want to be rude and gaslight. And I don't want to be with men most of the time. I'm not going to just volunteer to do it like when I get paid. So like, that is just how it works.
Speaking of being rude and gaslighting, you have Laura Loomer who tweeted directly at Jasmine Crockett. It hurts my heart that we have ghetto black bitches who hate America serving in Congress. And
that is just a wild statement.
And again, this is somebody.
What happened to respecting the office?
Right.
What happened to standing on ceremony and decorum for elected officials?
But again, that's for us.
Right.
That's for black people, because when as a black person, when we get elected to Congress in these offices,
we're DEI electorate.
But also, we're supposed to be so happy and thankful, and only in America. If we were in Africa, we'd be running around in robes and we'd be child soldiers. But in America, we could be in Congress and, this is all, thank you, white people. Thank you so much for allowing us to serve in Congress and allowing us to get to this point. It's never us. It's never like what we had to fight through or what we had to suffer through or what our ancestors had to suffer through and fight through. It's never us. It's never any excellence on our parts. It's all by the handout and the guidance and the direction of white people. This is how they see it in their mind. This is how Charlie Kirk saw it, right? That it's like, or they said, like, remember, he said Martin Luther King was a moron, wasn't a good person, he shouldn't be celebrated. We should celebrate Ben Carson, and we should celebrate Clarence Thomas, right? Only the people who ideologically think like you, right?
Right.
Somebody ideologically has a different thought, we shouldn't celebrate them at all. They're a bad person, they're a horrible person. And so again, and he, like Jasmine Crockett said, directly attacked Jasmine Crockett. It's funny because on one hand, they'll say Jasmine Crockett is ghetto, and on the other hand, they'll say, she went to a private school and she was educated and she grew up.
Which one is it?
Which one is it?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Is she educated and had all of these opportunities, or is she ghetto? But again, that language, we saw that, right? We saw Donald Trump use all the language that Mike Johnson said we should have known in grade school that we can't use. And it's okay for Donald Trump to say all these things, and it's okay when these Republican and right-wing folks are violent towards black. It's okay when they try to kidnap a governor.
Yeah.
He wants to pardon these dudes. That's okay. But now if I say something, I'm a radical left-wing lunatic, and you got to take my microphone, and you got to take my funding, you got to take me to jail. And again, it's like the hypocrisy is so damning. This is what we have to live through. And I don't know. Miracle, did you have something to say about these folks are Farouk? I don't know. You kind of been over there.
I also wanted to point out that Loomer has also talked about how Islam is a threat to America. No Muslim should be in Congress. How we should expel all the Muslims.
Right. Of course, they're always second Ilhan Omar, right? Always.
And just reminding people, I say this all the time, people don't listen to me, that when people talk about black people and Muslims, they are interchangeable.
Yes.
And I need people to start to understand that a little bit more. Even after 9/11, we forget that there were black Muslims, black mosques that were surveilled, black imams that were targeted, and just to remind people that we try to silo sometimes our identities, but when people they are very clear, these white supremacists are very clear that they are coming after people who are not white and who are not Christian. And so I need to, and Laura Loomer is someone who calls herself a Jewish Zionist and does not like Muslims and has been very clear about that.
Oh, is she Jewish?
Yes.
Oh.
And so she will weaponize Christian Zionism and Christianity to gear people up. But as black folks, we have to remember these conversations are also targeted to us. She's coming after Muslims. She's coming after Ilhan. She is coming after Jasmine Crockett.
Yeah.
You know, we have to also just be mindful that ICE is coming for our communities. These federal governments are coming for our communities. And she brags that she has a direct line to the White House, right? So I think people just have to say, again, these free speech idiots
and you
are
know,
causing harm wherever they go.
And you know what's so wild is you know, this is one of the things that, again, I don't be in these right-wing circles. I found out that Candace Owens had Nick Fuentes on her podcast, and he went in her face and said black people were naturally not smart, and said she was an Uncle Tom and she was a DI hire. So even if you're somebody like Candace Owens
crazy.
and you think you can, oh, I'm the good black person, you're dancing and tap dancing and singing and doing all your thing, and you think, oh, I'm the acceptable one, and no, these white supremacists will let you know, no, we don't have it. You know
what did she say to that? I want to know what she said to that.
She said she called Nick Fuentes the Israel of the right, accusing him of attacking people and then playing the victim. You know what I'm saying? So again, like, Fuentes was farther right than Charlie Kirk. But it's like, you think you're a black person, you're going to put on a Trump hat, like that Trump voter. You think you're going to put on a Trump hat, and you think you're not going to be the one. Remember the gay Republican dude that went into the Republican wherever he went? It's funny because there's this whole conversation about, like, whenever Republicans gather, like the site grinder, like,
goes off.
Yeah, it's over capacity. Like, it just shuts down. But again, he was like, oh, I thought I'm a Republican. I'm with y'all. They were like, no, you're the F word. You know what I'm saying? Like, to his face. And it's like, you think you're going to be the acceptable one. I mean, come on. They did a study about violence in America, and this is the FBI, the government, and it said the people that are more likely to be violent are these right-wing folks, and the government took it down. They just
deleted it.
They deleted it. So again, they're not even trying to operate on a factual basis. They don't even want to have a factual conversation. Speaking of that, we did get a blackmail.
Let's go.
We got a blackmail. And
there's two of them at this table.
Yes. But we got a blackmail. We asked people to email us about the show. And so folks emailed us. Somebody emailed us. And the subject is Charlie and a Broken Heart. Oh. Okay. Such uneducated bullshit coming from your free speech. But does it matter? Because we have the right to say whatever we want to say. Shouldn't we? In this country, there is freedom of speech, not freedom of conduct. I did not see one brick thrown, one fire started, one building, or one car destroyed after Charlie's murder. What are you going to destroy? Were you going to go to Tyler Robinson's white
you know what I mean?
Utah neighborhood? Hey, if y'all want to throw some bricks up in Tyler Robinson's hood, by all means. I'm not there.
Yeah.
Who would you riot against? He was killed by another white man.
Keep reading, because I have a take. Keep reading.
From Utah. What? The guy was arrested. No screaming streets or blocking traffic. Instead, we prayed. We united. We cried and loved one another. Keep hating. That's all your cold hearts have. Hate. Literally push a fake agenda. You talk of military taking over our streets and lawful cops. Listen up. This is all caps. I am not afraid of American soldiers. Yeah, in today's time.
Yeah, I was saying. Okay.
Well, okay, got
See
you.
how long that lasts.
Yes. They are welcome on American streets to protect us from crime, not trying to rob, loot, and murder our people. Chicago last week had 8 murders and 53 shootings. That's not from military. No stray bullets from military killing innocent black and brown babies. Not true, but continue. It's we the people who are trying to protect those babies from the criminals and gangs, stray bullets. Check yourselves. What have any of you done to actually stop crime? Obviously, you know nothing about. We actually talked about it on the show.
We actually have. Hey, Mr. Ryder.
This is Sherry Wilson. Sherry, we're called One Hood for a reason. I mean, like,
we've actually stopped crime in Pittsburgh.
Simple Google search, Sherry. But again, yes. To say no more victims. Instead, you spew your hatred and speech to protect criminal behaviors. What about what about the behaviors of Donald Trump, Sherry? I mean, is that criminal?
May I interject before we end? Okay.
Interject.
So
is that the end?
No. Oh, okay. A couple more sentences. Your freedom to continue to spew hate and not stop crime on our beautiful streets of the USA. I don't know what that statement means. We are stronger than any of you. Peace through strength. And Jesus wants the ridiculous killings every day to stop. So please stop acting threatened by soldiers. It's the punks and gangs and drug dealers and human traffickers like Jeffrey Epstein. And thugs that are destroying our democracy, not the military or police. Go find God. Well, Sherry, we thought we were gonna get raptured, but obviously it skipped us. So
I mean,
all of you, shame on all of you. Blame yourselves for your conduct. That shit ain't free. I guess it's supposed to be pray, but it says pay motherfuckers. R.I.P. Charlie, a good man.
I wonder if she's
you
black.
pray, we pay. So that's a threat.
Yes,
Anyhow,
yes, definitely.
I would Google, because you do know there are multiple places, National Guards and military places have been accused of human trafficking and running drugs and guns. But that's neither here nor there. Nor
I mean, the head of Homeland Security was caught on tape accepting a $50,000 bribe, which is a crime that was squashed by the Department of Justice, and now he's a head of Homeland Security. So is that a crime? I mean, your president has 34 felonies. Is that criminal behavior, Sherry? Please continue. Then we'll
even
get
here in Pennsylvania, we had a senator who said, why do we need to raise the minimum wage? If we have the livable wage, how are we going to get people to sign up for the National Guard and the military? So when we talk about crime and violence, when we talk about the policies that drive crime and violence, we have to look at the people we're putting in office.
Yes.
And then lastly, my heart is not filled with hate. My heart is filled with sadness, because when y'all were praying together, you didn't have to get permits, but you were able to attend together in mass because the police allowed y'all to do whatever you wanted to do. So therefore you didn't have to protest to be heard and protest for your rights. I'm very sad that you don't understand the difference between when people are gathering together peacefully and then when people are targeted by police, therefore eliciting violence in return.
Absolutely. Farouk, you had something to say to Sherry Wilson.
The question I have, anytime white people talk about this, and I don't know, Sherry, if you're white or black, because there's some things that you said in there made me think you might be black.
Yes.
But I'm not sure. Anyway, on the topic of black people organizing in a way that you do not seem lawful or peaceful or exercising our right to protest.
Yes.
When white people are killed by police, why don't you protest? When white people are killed by police and oppressed by state violence and all of these other systems in the same way black people are, why aren't you protesting? Why are you so okay with it?
Well, actually, they're not. And what do? They go form militias. I mean, they tried to kidnap a governor.
They try to kidnap a governor.
So they go form militias and they practice and they get ready and they're stockpiling guns and they're like, that's what they do. They don't protest in that way. They look for the get back.
Yeah, they look for murder and for blood, right? And so I don't understand why you're casting something for us when you view us as
again, like if
you know what, man. Listen, I said this last episode, and I'm gonna end it with this.
Yeah,
maybe integration was not the answer.
But again, it's this thing of like people protested George Floyd's killing because the police officer was not charged with his murder.
Right.
People protested Trayvon's killing because George Zimmerman was not charged with his murder. In fact, they gave him his gun back and said, go have a good day, right? People protested these police murders and killing because if the system saw, okay, we just watched this officer choke this man down, let's take his gun, let's indict him, there would have been no protest because justice would have been served. There's no need to protest because once the picture went out of Tyler Robinson, his father called and said, that's my son, and he was arrested and he's going to be charged. If he was let go, if we all knew that Tyler Robinson was Charlie Kirk's murderer and he was just let go and not charged, you all would be rioting. You all would be protesting. And guess what? Hey, I did remember one time where we saw bricks thrown, we saw cars destroyed, we saw officers attacked.
You're not talking about legitimate political discourse, are you?
Right. It happened on January 6th, and it had nothing to do with anybody being murdered. It was because you didn't get your way in the election.
Yeah.
You threatened to hang Mike Pence because he would not stand with Donald Trump and overturn an election. Like, what are we talking about? It's all in 4K. You can go on YouTube and watch what happened on January 6th right now. You can watch Congress people hiding out, afraid. Republicans as well. Not sure what these rioters were going to do. People in full riot beating cops with the American flag. We watched it.
Yep.
So you didn't riot this time, but you sure damn hell rioted before. And if you want to Google race riots in St. Louis, race riots all through the 1920s, 30s, 40s, Google it. But again, that would mean that we're having a discussion on actual data, actual engagement. That would mean that. Not, obviously, you're speaking, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, maybe don't. Again, we accept blackmail. We probably don't threaten us, maybe. I mean, like, again, we want to have a discourse. You know what I'm saying? But, maybe your prayers did work because we're still here and the rapture. The rapture.
Maybe she can't read it.
Yeah. Maybe she's gone. Yeah. Maybe she's gone. Wherever it is. With that being said, our white pages. Walking in Circles: The Black Struggle for School Reform, from Barbara A. Sizemore. Obviously, school just started back. There's been a lot of conversation. The Department of Education shutting down. Where are we going to go? How are we going to educate our children properly? So Barbara Sizemore, a legendary black woman academic, Walking in Circles: The Black Struggle for School Reform is our white pages today. And do we have stuff coming up?
We have a lot of stuff coming up.
Do we? Go ahead, share, please.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know.
First of all, I'm going to say we have things coming up. Next week is October,
which is crazy.
Yeah,
next week is October.
That's just insane.
Wow,
this year flew past.
Crazy.
It has, and on October 4th. I will be hosting a Gatekeepers conversation.
Yes.
So it's going to put it out there.
Yes.
If you're here in Pittsburgh, it is free for the women's because we're talking about Gatekeeper, Valkyrie edition. If you're a man, you can just pay. Pay as you can.
Pay some.
I thought it was a woman only event. Mm-mm. Oh, okay. It's
a lot of stuff happening.
Yes.
We want to save the date because we did have an art thing, but we didn't remove it. We moved it to October 17th.
Okay.
So you're going to save that.
And where is this going to be in Pittsburgh? At Steel Tower Plaza? Mm-hmm. Okay, got you.
October 17th is going to be here in Pittsburgh. Right now, I'm going to make sure you're registered to vote.
Yes.
You have until October 20th to make sure you are registered to vote. We're going to have our State of Black Pittsburgh conversation.
Yes.
So, that, but also, for people here in Pittsburgh, since we're talking about violence on our C4 100 Power, next Tuesday at 5 p.m. we're having a special broadcast called Saving Our Sons. We're going to be talking to Mayor Ed Gainey, Mayor Jojo, Mayor, I always say it wrong, Dewan Walker,
yes,
from Aliquippa, just talking about the things we're doing, to actually reduce gun violence here in Pennsylvania. We know Kendrick Curtis was 18 years old, was just murdered by ATF officer. Reports are coming out that he was shot 3 times from behind. And so we're out here trying to find, demand transparency, trying to find answers. So there's a lot of community conversations that we are having online and in person, just to figure out what we can do to make sure our kids are able to grow old. So just save the date on that. And after that, we have some more things we've had to reschedule from this week, just because it's raining, we have things happening. But, just take care, love each other, and just show up for folks.
Absolutely. Take care, love each other, show up for folks. Maybe Sherry will tune in to that. You know what I'm saying? And so you also got, for the black male, because we don't want to only highlight. Dan Ruskin wished you a happy birthday, Farouk.
Oh, thank you, Dan.
Shout out to Dan. And Maria gave us a bunch of dope quotes to say, and she just shared a whole bunch of quotes that she loved, which I really loved. One of those quotes: if you are neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor. Bishop Desmond Tutu. So shout out Maria for that. So with that being said, final words.
Shout out to everybody who came to the Crip fundraiser. We were able to raise I think over $4,000.
Did you go on your date yet? You were
I'm not
auctioned
going
off for a
I
date.
was auctioned off for a date.
Whoa,
so
that sounds crazy.
But it's going to be very PG, very G rated. But then there's a quote going around saying the price of friendship is inconvenience, and I'm very much inconvenienced as an individual.
I'm sorry that you. I hope you're not blaming me.
Why would she blame
You've
you?
been good for a couple weeks. You haven't
Okay.
inconvenienced me. You've been good.
I'll do better.
Thank you.
I need to inconvenience you.
No.
Yeah, I need to.
Final words, sir?
Yes.
Go to Six Flags? I don't know. What you
Let's just get the fuck
Be
out of
better.
here.
you want to
Be
say?
better.
Another quote. An evil man will burn his own nation to the ground to rule over the ashes. Sun Tzu. Thank you, Maria. With that being said, this week in White Supremacy. Peace. One hood, y'all.